Hey Portland area buyers, would you like to know what to expect in the housing market in 2023? Well, the Hatch Homes Group has done our research, compiled our resources, and distilled them down to bring you our honest predictions for 2023. So stay tuned.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. We are the Hatch Homes Group and it is our Monday housing market update. Before we get going, remember to like and subscribe if you're enjoying what you're seeing. All right, so this is our part one. We are doing market predictions for 2023 like we do every year, but this part one is going to be really focused on buyers. And we've been looking at different resources, right? National Association of Realtor predictions, realtor.com predictions, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, some other ones I forgot, guys.
Brian Buffini, Keeping Current Matters.
Yeah, so many. We're looking at all of them. And we're going to look at four main things for you buyers. So what are home prices going to do? What are mortgage rates going to do? What's the housing supply going to be like for you? And then last, sales volume. How many homes are going to be moving in this next year? And just so you know, looking at now all these national statistics is kind of looking like a national weather forecast. So we're going to really focus on how do we take that and make it a little bit more hyper local. So we're looking at what's the forecast in Portland while also looking at all these national numbers that are very helpful.
So first of all, prices, and we're showing you pricing predictions from various sources. These are national numbers, and we see never seen before such great variety. Zelman predicting we're going to see a drop in prices of 5%. They're very pessimistic. Realtor.com is very optimistic, and they're saying we're going to see an increase in prices of 5.4. So we look at all these and we average them out, and we see we're still going to see a positive increase in prices of 0.4%.
Yeah, not as dramatic.
As Angela said, that's a national number. There are some extremes of price changes within some cities. Portland is more balanced, but we will see changes within Portland, and we want to help you with that. But we need to home in on what's happening in different neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
it's really
not a tall, gloomy number forecast for pricing.
Yeah, and the second prediction that we have for you has to do with mortgage rates. And this is, I think, the thing that most people have on their radar. I think we all know that 2022 brought a lot of volatility in those rates with that really sharp increase that we saw. And that just made affordability harder for buyers. So our predictions for 2023 we're trying to stay on the conservative side. If you look at these numbers, you'll see that there isn't a huge variance from these different sources. But as you know, when it's your money and your monthly payment, the numbers do make a difference in terms of affordability. So as much as we want to be positive about these interest rates, we don't want to be too naive because of the fact that we do have so many things impacting our interest rates right now, including inflation and global economy, et cetera. So what we're looking at, we think, is interest rates around 6.8%. And that is a conservative estimate when you look at the other numbers. But again, in terms of affordability, we think it's better to sort of err on the side of being conservative when you're calculating the affordability in that monthly payment, so that if interest rates do drop, that's a good thing instead of the other way around, which is what we saw in 2022. A lot of people locking in at an interest rate that they thought was going to stick around, and then by the time they got to buying a house, the interest rate had gone up so much that they couldn't afford it anymore. So for 2023, we're looking at interest rates around 6.8%, according to us. Knowing that could change very easily based on a whole bunch of factors outside of our control.
I think another thing that the third thing that we're going to talk about is sales volume, which kind of goes hand in hand with inventory a little bit. We are predicted to see less sales year over year than we have from 2020 to 21, 22. Now 2023 is going to be a whole different ball game because the state of the economy is totally different, right? So what that goes hand in hand with inventory. We have to talk about that because you're looking at these graphs and you're seeing that the variance, right? If there's just going to be a little bit less motivation for sellers when you think about if they're all locked into a 3% interest rate or 3.5% or whatever, they're going to be less motivated to sell unless they really have to. So that will affect inventory, right? So that's gonna
so Michelle, we're gonna stay in like a seller's market then, is kind of what you're predicting, right?
Yeah, I think it will, because that inventory is still going to be under what we need to meet to have more of a balanced market. I mean, it's going to balance out more and it's not going to be the frenzy, but we're likely to just see less sales. Plus, you want to look at like there's going to be less builders starting new builds, new communities. I mean, here in Oregon, we are seeing a little bit differently, not in the Portland metro area so much, but like in the outskirts, like Camas and like Canby and areas out there, I've seen a lot of new construction. However, I think we're predicting that that's really going to slow down. So again, this is going to keep us more in a seller's market than a buyer's market, but fear not, because there's a lot of pros to to the market that we're going into. There's a lot of good things.
So let's talk about some of those pros, but let's do our pros and cons. So now that we know like what the predictions are for 2023, what are some pros and cons to consider as a home buyer? Let's start with the con, right?
Yeah.
This is the one that this is what we're hearing all the time right now.
Yeah.
And that is higher interest rates means harder on the affordability to purchase a home.
Yeah, and this is such a tough one because it's so true, obviously, that the higher interest rate is making it that monthly payment higher for so many people. And for those of us working in this field who remember, a year ago when people had to fork out 50 to 100K over list price in cash, or appraisal gaps to get properties. Sometimes to us as realtors, it still seems like this is a better bet because you're not forking out all that cash just to get your skin in the game to get into the house.
Right.
But in terms of buyers just coming onto the market now who don't know what was happening a year or two ago or didn't experience that, that's a hard pill to swallow, that the interest rates are high.
Mm-hmm. I think I look at it as like a wash, kind of like, yeah, the interest rate is higher. However, you're not going to have to pay $100,000 over asking anymore. So it's kind of a wash in your monthly payment.
Or take on all those repairs.
Right.
Yeah.
Or taking on
a big deal.
Such a big deal.
And the way that I like to think about it too is like, at least you know what you're getting into from the beginning in terms of your monthly payment. Again, it's higher, but it's upfront and it's in paper instead of having to go into this bidding war where there's so many emotions involved that you're not necessarily even sure about what you are doing to your total cost over time.
Right.
100%.
Right. Making an offer based on like 50,000 over or do you have to go 100,000 over or, so you really can have a more solid confidence going into what your monthly payment is going to be.
Yeah. So that's kind of just like a mindset shift, I think, for our buyers.
100%.
Very big.
And I'm just going to say it too. I think we all are relatively wary of headlines when it comes to a lot of things, but for some reason, national headlines surrounding real estate really seem to kind of stick in people's heads. So again, like trying to coach our buyers that it's hard up front in terms of your monthly payment, but also over the long term, it's not even that high of an interest rate. And owning real estate is one of the best ways to invest your money and grow it.
Build wealth. Yeah.
That really leads into our second con, which is less year over year appreciation. And I know that's something that like the past buyers in the pandemic market were like, I think that they forgot that having like double digits appreciation year over year on your investment is not the norm.
No, absolutely not. very nice. If those buyers got in, I'm very happy for them. But yeah, that is not sustainable year-over-year appreciation. And that's important to know, because that doesn't mean that if you get into a house now and you have low appreciation, that means your home is depreciating.
Right.
You're not losing money. It's just taking a little bit longer to build that appreciation, which is normal.
And like if you're renting,
Oh,
there's a lot of
Yeah.
depreciation.
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah, you don't get any
Right.
appreciation.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And in fact, rental rates are going up and up and
Yes.
up.
Exactly.
And that's going to be a continued trend, I think, as we move through the year. I think that also leads into another pro, which is less multiple offers. I think that is so huge. You have more time to really, like Alexa said, I think at one point, that you get to date the house before you make the offer. Even like you can go see it multiple times. You can really dive into how you feel about that house before you make the commitment. And that's huge. That's another mindset shift.
Less competition, so you can see different houses in a price point and really compare them apples to apples before making that decision. And then when you go to make that offer, fewer multiple offers on that individual home. And again, you know, I know buyers entering the market now don't necessarily know this, but you know, a year or 2 years ago, we know that, you know, you were throwing your hat in the ring with 17 other offers.
Or more or less, yeah.
And then that over time, when you lose out on one house, you know, it's like, it just really affects your competitiveness. And
your mindset. You're just like, there's so much heartbreak. There was so much heartbreak. And I think, you know, there's always going to be some disappointments and some things that you may not love about the real estate process, but there's so much more to gain from it. And that's also a mindset that we have.
And, you know, in that market too, you know, sellers were absolutely not entertaining doing anything for you. If you, even if you had a significant repair request, it was like, there's someone who's willing to take it without us repairing it. So peace, you know, whereas now we're seeing there's a lot more sort of compromising going on. There's a lot more back and forth on negotiations. So you can actually get into a home and get some repairs done or get a credit or something like that. So that's good too.
I think the biggest con is obviously the affordability, but that is something that we're monitoring, and there's always a way. And that leads into another pro is you have more lending options. Lenders are getting creative. There's the 2 or 3 1 buy down. And there's again more seller credits that can help you with less cash to close, buying down your rates. Like there's just a lot that a lender can help you with now, and getting creative with your financing.
And I mean, nobody wants to remember this part, but when we were in that peak market, FHA and VA buyers were losing out time after time after time. That was a very strong cash market. And if you had any kind of like less conventional financing or lower down payment, you were just out of luck. So
basically, yeah, if you could not waive your appraisal contingency, which you can't, which is hard unless you have the cash, you weren't getting your offer accepted. I mean, it was taking a long time.
Yeah. So for our VA buyers, our FHA buyers, this is a market where they can comfortably come into knowing that they can actually compete and get a house.
Yeah, that's our prediction with that, is there's going to be a lot more diverse financing options for buyers, which will help the market overall.
Bottom line, although there'll be areas in the US that are hard hit by the market shift, this is generally a balanced market. Certainly for Portland, this is a balancing out market. It's not a bad market. And if the numbers make sense to you, then prepare to buy in 23. In fact, prepare to buy now, because the interest rates are lower than what we're predicting in the future. So we're going to watch the market very carefully during January. January trends start changing, and things will become a lot clearer. And look out for future predictions and videos, and
like and subscribe and share.
Part 2 is going to be for you sellers. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Thank you.